This conference will now be recorded.
Good morning, guys. Sorry, I was in a call. Yeah, so in the last class, we successfully able to display the projects of each employee, and for that we used the association concept in the backend. Now let us a little bit beautify this table, and then we'll go to our next concept, and that is how can we give the end user the provision to create the projects from the application. Okay, at the time of creating the employee, so he should be able to add the projects as well. So this concept is called create deep entity. We are going to deal with this concept, create deep entity, today and tomorrow. Today we are going to see it from the front end, and in tomorrow we are going to see that concept in the back end. Yeah. Uh, so let me show you what is basically the create deep entity means. So when you are creating the employee, we will give not only the employee form, but also will give the provision to add the projects. So similarly, in future, we will give the provision to add the profile picture, to add the resumes and all. Okay. Now this table is called, this is normal table only, but we will make it like a dynamic table. Why I'm calling this as a dynamic table? Because the rows are not there initially. But when I click on the plus button, a empty row gets inserted into this table with all the input fields. For the project description, I have given it like a text area. This is input fields, and this is text area. Okay. And if I click the plus button again, one extra row gets created. So basically, the rows are getting created dynamically. We have not given anything statically in this for this table. So if this employee has 5 project experience, I can click this button for 5 times, and I can enter the project information of this employee. And in case if I feel no 5 projects are not required, I will enter only 4 projects. So you can delete by clicking the delete button against that row. See? So once you fill the employee information and project information, and if you click the save button, then we will send employee information as well as the project information both to the backend, both to this to the backend. So sending an employee information along with the projects. So this is called create deep entity. Once again, Sushma has messaged saying that my voice is low, very low, not low also. Is there anybody else who are having the same issue?
No,
Is my
no,
voice
sir.
low?
No, it is
No,
okay.
right?
Like,
Normally my top floor people complains that my voice is too high. Uh, so my voice cannot be low normally because when I'm teaching the class, as I told my top floor people, they say to lower the voice little bit. Sushma, you may check your speaker uh, if the speaker is on high or it's low. Otherwise, you can just try rejoin as well. Yeah. So sending the employee details along with the project details. So this is called create deep entity. So sending one parent entity details along with the child entity details. So this type of concept is called create deep entity. So that is the exact definition of create deep entity. Sending parent entity data along with the child entity data, both in a single shot. Okay, so this is called uh, the create deep entity. So here the parent entity is employee and the child entity is projects. We are not only sending the employee details to the backend, but also we are sending the project information also to the backend. All right. Now in the create screen, how to add this particular dynamic table. So that is what we are going to do today. On click of the plus, we should get all these rows dynamically. On delete, we should remove all these rows dynamically. Okay, right. Even before that, let's beautify this table. Let's add some heading, nice heading for this table, and then we'll switch to it. Alright. Yeah. So let's add some header text for this directly. So there is a header text property. Header text equals to project information. And since this project description is a little lengthy column, let's add the scroll container so that we get a nice scroll container as well. Scroll container, and let's keep the entire table inside the scroll container, the format document. Yeah. Now let's give scroll container vertical scroll and horizontal scroll. Both we will give. So horizontal equal to true and vertical equals to true. And you'll get the scroll bar only when you assign the width. So let's assign the 10 rem for all the columns. Width of 10 rem, and then you find out which is the lengthy column and increase the width for it. So let's give this one as 15 rem. All right, now let us see how it looks. This is looking like this, but still it is not enough. So you can just increase it to 20 rem. Now let's see. 20 is also not sufficient. Then we need to increase it to 25. So this is just like RN, trial and error, guys. Nobody can say like this must be 25 or 30, something like that. Okay, so still 2 lines is okay, uh, because you cannot expect this project description to be a single line. 2 lines is okay, guys. So still, if you want, you increase it. Let's not too much worry about the beautification. Yep. So this is the display screen. Now let's go to the create screen to work on the dynamic table. Now we are in the create screen. Now let's add the project table here with a plus button at the top, just like this. Let me close all of them. I will open only the corresponding views. So till now, whatever the tables we have used, all the tables are having the items binding, and this particular items binding is binded with this some entity set or maybe a JSON, if it is a JSON model, then array name. So items is binded, and all the columns we have written, and after the columns we have written items, then column list item. So this is a typical table code looks like, correct? Now this particular table, if you observe the items binding is pointing to a entity set because this table has to display the data that is coming from the backend. The table has to display the data that is coming from the backend. Okay, right. But this table, it does not need to point any data that is coming from the backend. In fact, we just need to store some data in this table and send this data to the backend. We are not pulling any data from the backend. Remember point number one, this table does not store any data that is coming from the backend. That means the items binding of this table will not point to any entity set, not required also. When we point to some entity set, we point the items binding to some entity set when we need the data from backend and display that data in the front end. But what we are doing here, we are doing reverse. We are not pulling any data from the backend, but instead we are filling this table from the front end. We are filling this table from the front end and sending this data to the backend. So it is reverse. So that means this table's items binding will not point to any entity set, my dear friends. Okay. But what I'm going to do is I will create a small JSON model, and within that JSON model, I will bind this table, okay, by creating these columns. So you will understand, just stay tuned. Let's go to the create fragment and let's go to the view one, view two controller. All right. Now in the create fragment, when you click on the create employee, so let me click on create employee. So below this simple form table, I am creating the table UI element. This is table, and the table will have the columns. Now let's add some columns for this table. So column text equal to, so what is the text? Employee ID. Then copy this, paste, and then we have the project code. And then we have the client name. Then we have the project name. Then we have the project description. We'll just keep the description, and then we have the team size as well. For the last batch, I did not add it in the team size. All right, these are the columns of the table. And let's add a header toolbar because in the header toolbar, I need a button. So if you see here, this is the header toolbar, and in the header toolbar, there is a button. So let's add this button as well. We'll keep one title first, title for the table. So text is add projects. And then we need a toolbar spacer, and after that we need a button with an icon equal to SAP icon // add. So let's give the blue color for this, and let's assign a function press equal to on press add row. All right, now let's have a look at this table. Any problem in this code? No, right? Then why this is not giving the output? So we have written table and then header toolbar, okay. Toolbar, spacer, title, button, everything is fine. So we should get the output. Let us debug. Let's go to console. Element table is not valid. Aggregation content of element sap.m.panel. What is this? This is a fragment. Okay. So as I told you, the fragment when it is getting loaded, so it gives it points to the outermost UI element. But if you are having two things here, one is simple form and another one is table, so it won't accept. So you need to wrap them inside one other layout. There should be only one, so one main container, and inside that everything else should be there. So this is the same problem we got yesterday. So in the display fragment also we got the error. Then I added this VBox as a outermost UI element. So I hope you understand why this error is coming. So fragment should have a outermost container, and inside that container you can have any number of layouts. So because when it gets loaded, it has to return that outermost UI element. So here the outermost is VBox, which is the vertical layout. Yeah, now we will not get that error. Okay, fine. So now you can see the table add projects with a plus button, and this is the table. We are little bit reached to the initial design, and this particular table is showing no data, and even this table is showing no data initially. Now next, when I press the add button, how can I add a empty row to this table? And this is empty row, that is fine, but in the row we are having the input fields. In the row we are having input fields. Now to make you understand how this particular row has been added, I will go in a very small steps. I will go in a very small steps. Okay, right. So if I directly write this code, then probably most of you will not understand. So that's why let me go in a very minimal steps. We know that a table can be binded to a OData models entity set directly, or the table can also be binded to a JSON model, but the JSON model should have an array. Inside the JSON model, there should be a JSON data, and inside the data, there should be an array. So this is something we already know. We already know the syntax of the items binding. The items binding syntax is model name, arrow mark / entity set name. So this is in case of a OData model. the above one. And in case of the JSON model, the same syntax will differ. The items binding is model name arrow mark slash. In place of the entity name, you will get the array name. So this is something we already covered in our previous classes. We binded our table with the entity set directly. We binded our table with the JSON models array name also, right? And in the initial, at the beginning of the class, I told that I cannot bind this table with the entity set. The reason is I'm not pulling any data from the backend for this table, right? I'm not pulling any data. In fact, I'm sending the data. I'm not pulling the data. So I cannot bind this table with the entity set because entity set binding always pull the data from backend to frontend. So obviously the option remaining is JSON model. Now just to recap the JSON model stores the JSON data. And what is JSON data? Any data that is present within the open curly braces and closing curly braces, and if it has the OData field name like emp id colon its value, okay, like 100001, and then the project code. So let me take project code PR Mahesh, for example. So let me, yeah, for Mahesh, let's create Mahesh01 project code, and then the project name colon uh, project name. So again, this is little headache. I need to think about the project names. Like vendor portal. Okay, and project description. So let me give the project description a simple description. And 1, 2, 3, 4. We forgot the client name. CLIENT client name. Compass group. Okay, and let's add the team size. So the team size is some 15. All right. So any data that reside between open curly braces, closing curly braces, and in between, if you have the property and value pairs, so this data is called JSON data. So this is a JSON data for a single record, So let's say I have the multiple records like this. Then, so you need to put a comma, and this is second record, employee ID same, Mahesh 02, for example, second project. And this is, for example, shipment management, something I have given. Sorry, this is the project name. Shipment management. The client is, for example, Vida Excel. So this IKEA kind of business. Let me write IKEA itself directly. Shipment management and product description. Sorry, project description. Also, I'm giving it as a simply shipment management. Let's not concentrate on the project description now. And team size, let's give some 12. Now, when you have multiple records, So this is the first record and this is second record. And to store the multiple records, we need an array. So we will declare the array like array of projects. So it's an array symbol. The starting array bracket will open here and the ending bracket will close here. So this is the syntax if you want to represent the multiple records in a JSON model. So single record, it is the syntax, and multiple records. So you will write as many records as you want, but you will enclose them inside a array. Okay. Now I'm going to create one JSON model, and to that particular JSON model, I will add this particular data. So this is the JSON data. So let us do this and bind that JSON model to my table. And let us see what happens next. So I need one JSON model. So you can go to the manifest.json to declare a JSON model. Yeah, just like EMP model, which is a type JSON model. Similarly, let's copy this and create one more model and call this model as projects model. So which is of type JSON model again. Now in the view2 controller, where is my controller? In the view2 controller, what I'm going to do is in the onInit function, I will pull this JSON model. So let me pull the JSON model variable prj model equal to means project model. What is the name that I have given? So let's give simply prj model means project model equals to. So I'm pulling that model by using this dot get owner component dot get model, and you need to mention the name of the model, which is project model. And now I'm going to write my model dot set data. Model dot set data. I'm going to set this JSON data. So I know that a JSON model can hold the JSON data. So I'm going to set this data to my JSON model. One second. So this is my JSON model dot set data. So when I'm setting the data, I should keep this open curly braces, closing curly braces, and in between my array of projects, and this project is having the project number 1 and project number 2. So you can just cross check the OData field names against your service. See, first one is employee ID. So are you keeping employee ID? Yes. Second one, project code, PRJ code. So this is wrong, project code. And then the client name, left hand side variables I'm talking about, the client name, then project name, PRJ name. This is project description. This is PRJ description, and then the team size. All right, now I think this is wrong. This is fine. This is again wrong, and project description. Let me copy this, paste here. All right. My JSON model is ready, and inside this JSON model, I set the data with array of projects. Okay, so now in the fragment, I'm going to do the items binding. So items equals to, I will say, so this item should point to the project model, so which is a JSON model. And for a JSON model, I know the syntax model name arrow mark slash array name. So my model name is project model, and then arrow mark slash and the array name. What is the array name? The array name is array of projects. Yeah. So model name arrow mark slash array name. Fine. And since I have written the items binding, so whenever you write the items binding, my dear friends, you also need to write the items tag. Otherwise, there is no meaning in writing the items binding. So I'm going to write the items binding, and inside the items binding, I need to write the column list item. And inside the column list item, I need to write the cells. And inside the cells, I need to write, uh, first I will write the text UI elements. So text equal to, I'm going to bind this with the JSON model, project model, arrow mark slash, I'm going to point out to the first record, sorry, field one, that is employee ID. So this is the employee ID column and the value of this one. Now copy this, paste, 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 paste 6 times or 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, 6 is fine. Now this is the first one is employee ID, second one is the project code. So this copy paste job will be more in the real time as well. Project name, then project description, then we have the team size. All right, now format the document. Okay, so I have done the items binding to this table with the JSON model, and I also added the items tag with our column list item and the cells, and inside the cells I used the text UI elements to display the data. Now let's go and see what is the status of this table. Now my table, since it is pointing to the JSON model, it simply pulled out the data that is present in the JSON model. In my JSON model, there are 2 records. So you can see this is my JSON model, which is having 2 records. And that is the reason my table is showing all the 2 records. Okay. Now you might be wondering, Rizwan, we need to create the data. We need to create the projects. You have displayed the projects. So what are we doing? Now the real movie starts. Okay. So stay tuned. Since here we used the text UI elements, so we got this one like a text, like a display table. But here, actually, I want to enter the project details. So step number 1, I'm going to replace all the text UI elements with the input fields. All of you observe. I will say I do not want the text UI element. I will say I want the input field. So let me keep this. So let's use find and replace. Find text and replace with input. Input. We also need to skip it. So this text should not be changed. Sorry. The next occurrence, then input, then again input, then again replace, replace, skip, replace, skip, replace, skip, and then replace. Yeah, that's all. Yeah. So I replaced the text UI element with the input field, and input field does not have the text property, it has the value property. So let us do this. Okay, now let's have a look at the output. We are achieving this in a very minute steps, guys, because as I told you, you will not understand if I achieve this straight away. Now we can see the table is having the input fields to enter the project information of this employee. Okay. Again, you might be thinking, boss, I want the table empty initially. This table is already filled with the data. Okay. Now, again, keep the concentration. So I will go to the view2 controller. This table is not empty because in my JSON data, there are two records and both the records are filled with the data. Now see the third step. I will keep the records, but I will keep the values as empty. So this is called empty JSON record. These records are called empty JSON records. So initially you can give team size 0 as a default value, and this. Okay, so this is not uh, it's not like there is no record. There is a record. Okay, so this is called record, one record, and this is another record. So record is there, but data is not there. So these are called empty records. Empty JSON, one single record, and this is empty JSON, another record. Now see, now the table having two records, but there is no data in this particular table. There is no data in this table. So let it get refreshed. Okay, so now the step number 3. If I add one more empty record in this array, so this is an array, and in this array I'm going to push. So I have pushed one more empty record. See, empty record 1, empty record 2, empty record 3. So 3 empty records means 3 rows. Okay. Now, if I add one more empty record, so let us see, 4 empty records. Correct? Now, I'm removing 3 empty records. So I removed 3 empty records. So how many empty records are there in this array? 1 empty record. So how many rows you will get? 1 empty record. Okay, so from this we need to bring the analogy, and that is, if you want a empty record in this table, you need to add one empty JSON record into this array. Getting my point? If you want, whenever you click the plus button, you want a empty record with input fields. So you want a empty record, but with the input fields, then you need to push this empty JSON record into this array. So initially I will keep the array empty like this. Initially I will keep the array empty like this, and so when you keep the array empty like this, obviously the table, since it is pointing to the array, the table is pointing to this array. The array is empty, so it won't show any data. Now when I click the plus button, dynamically I will push this particular JSON empty JSON record I will push into the array. So when you push a empty JSON record into the array, into this particular array, okay, so empty record will get created. And again, when you click the plus button, so whenever you are clicking on the plus button, I will be keep on adding this empty JSON record to this array, so that the empty JSON records will increase. So you clicked on plus button again, so I pushed one more JSON record into this array. So 2 records will be formed. See, 2 records has formed. So the solution for this, to achieve this dynamic table, is playing with this array. That's all. Okay. So let me remove this. Initially, I will not keep any empty records. So let me comment this. So I have commented it. when I press the plus button, so this is my plus button. So on press add row, I will go to the controller and let me add the code here. So function on press add row, I will point to my JSON model. This is my JSON model. So since I want this model in the other function, so what I will do, I will just use this dot variable. So this dot project model, and I want the same here. So my project model dot get data. So here we set the data, right? So project model dot set data. So now I'm doing the reverse, that is get data. So when I get this data, I will get this array. So get data dot my array dot push. Inside the array, I am pushing. See, project model dot set data. So project model dot get data. Now I'm getting this data, and inside the data there is an array, and this array is initially empty. No, nothing is there inside. Okay, so but I will push this one now. I'm going to push this empty record now. Control X, Control V. Okay, all right. Now let us see if this works. So let's click plus. Wait. So let's click plus. So is it working? No, it's not working. The reason is whenever you push a record into your JSON model, so this model is simply a memory. So this memory need to be slightly refreshed. So let's write refresh my memory. JSON model is a memory. So just my JSON model dot refresh true will refresh this memory, so that inside this memory there is an array, and inside the array one empty record has been pushed. So this will be refreshed. Click plus. Now you can see an empty record has been inserted. And click plus, two records got inserted. Click plus, I press 3 times, and you can see three more records got inserted. Now I can happily enter the data. So do you know one more advantage here? So whatever the data that you enter in this table, so this data will go and sit in your JSON models array. So whatever you are typing inside this table, okay, whatever the data that you're inserting in this table, and if you want to send this data to the backend, you can send simply this array, because all this data will come and sit in this array of projects. Got my point? Yeah. So now we successfully added the row. We have successfully added the dynamic rows, but I also need to keep the option of deleting them. So let's add one more extra column like this, delete, so that I can delete any of the row that I want. So let's go to the fragment. So I need an extra column. The column name should be delete. Delete. And inside that column, I need a button. So I will not keep input field this time. I will keep a button. So with a icon equals to SAP icon / delete. And let's keep this color as reject. And let's see the press equal to on delete row. So since this button is inside the column list item means a row, and this row is inside the items binding. So items is a loop. So the delete button will come for every record that you are adding. See, as many times I click the plus button, those many records get added, and you can see the delete button as well. Now, to add a row to the table, we simply inserted this empty JSON record empty JSON record into the array, into this array. Now to delete the record, what do you need to do? You need to delete the corresponding empty record from the array. Okay, so let me keep this in a paint diagram. See, the array looks like this, guys. This is the array. This is the array. Okay, this is the array. So in the array, we have the locations like this is called the zeroth index. This is index 1. This is index 2. Now, in this array, to add a new record, what we are doing, we are pushing an empty JSON record. So this is the empty JSON record. So we are pushing this like just like this. Okay. Now let me copy. Control C, Control V. Right. So inside the array, we are keeping on pushing the empty JSON records to add the records in the table. Now, similarly, let's say you clicked on the delete button against the second row. So this is the delete button, and so when you press the delete button, you need to remove this row. To remove this particular record from the table, do you know what you need to do? You need to go to the array, same array, and from this array, you need to delete the second record, which is at the index 1. So you need to delete this record. So when you delete this one, then the array becomes only the size of 2. Okay, since this record is gone, the middle record is gone. So now I will be having the array again with 0, and this becomes 1, index 1. Okay. So basically to insert, we have pushed the empty JSON record into the table, and to delete it, we need to do the reverse, and that is we need to remove this particular JSON object from the array. Okay, so simple, guys. Remember, to insert the record, we have pushed a empty JSON record into the table, and to delete the record, we need to identify the exact position. Okay, we need to identify the index. So basically, this is important. We need to identify the index of the row. So is it the first record, second record, third record? So we need to find out the exact index, and we need to remove that empty JSON record from that index of the array. Just give me a second. Yeah, now I'm going to do it. So here the challenge is we are clicking the delete button. So when you click this delete button, you need to get the index of this row. The index of this row is 0, and the array index will also be same for the first record. Record 1 means array index and table index both are same. Okay, so this is 0th record. 0 means don't take this team size, guys. I'm talking about the row. Okay, so this row is present in the index 0. The second row is present in the index 1. The third row is present in the index 2. So when I click this delete button, I want this row's index, and when I click this delete button, I want the index from the second row, and when I click this delete button, I want the index from the third row, which is 2. So how to get the index when I click on the delete button? Because without knowing the index, I cannot simply delete some random record from the table, correct, from the array. If I know the index, then only I can remove the exact corresponding empty JSON record from the array. Okay, so let's do it in the debug mode. This is on press row, and now we are going to delete it. So where is this on press? On press delete row. So let's go here and put this code on press delete row. Yeah, right. So I will just take the help of O event, and now I'm going to the debug mode to pick up the index of this row. So all of you observe how I will pick up the index of this row. So I added 3 rows. Now I am going to click the delete button. So before I click on the delete button, I will go to my code. And where is my code to delete the record? Here it is on delete row. Now let's go and hit the delete button in the second row. So this is my second row and I'm clicking the delete button. So I click the delete button. Now I want the index of this row. But I don't know. The delete button is present in all the rows. Which delete button you pressed? I don't know. So I need to find out the index. So I will take help of the O event. I will say O event.get source. When I say O event.get source, so what it returns? See, let us see what it returns. It is returning the button. It is returning the button. What I will do with the button? Obviously, when you say O event.get source, it returns the source UI element of that action. Correct? So what is the source UI element of this action? Button. One second. So obviously, OEvent.get source means the source UI element of that action. So the action is press, and this press is on this particular button. So OEvent.get source will always return the button. But what I will do with the button? I can't do anything with the button. I want the rows index. I don't want the button. But here, if I say my button dot get parent, so who is the parent for the button? Parent means parent UI element. We know that the button is inside the button. So this is the button. The button is inside the column list item, and column list item means row. Column list item means what? Row. So whenever you say some UI element dot get parent, it returns the parent UI element of that UI element. Okay. So first I said OEvent.get source. The OEvent.get source has given me the button. On the button, I'm saying, hey, Mr. Button, get me your parent. Get parent. So now get parent means tables row. So you can see item 0. Item means row. Item always means the row of the table is called item. Row of the table is called item. So now I got the row. But even what I will do with the row, I want the index of the row. So on this particular row, this is the row. This is row. On the row, there is a get binding context path. The function name is get binding context path. So this particular get binding context, see, we know already get binding context. Let me put get binding context first because you already know it. Get binding context will return the data that is binded to this particular record data, but there is you need to pass the model name. The model name is PRJ model. Yeah. So we already know this get binding context, which returns the data of this particular record row. Okay. So if I say get object, it gives me the all data. See, the data that is binded to this record is all empty. So empty data has been binded. Okay, right. So let's forget get binding context, but I want the get binding context path. So why I want get binding context path, you will understand. So just to summarize, o event.get source means button, button.get parent means row, row.get binding context path means the get binding context path returns the exact position of this row from the array. From the array. See, I pressed the delete button from the second row. Now the get binding context path returns the exact position of this particular record against the array data. Okay, so this particular row is pointing to the array of projects /1 means it is pointing to the index 1. Is it or not? Yes, it is pointing to index 1 because this is second row. Second row obviously points to the index 1. If I click delete button here, it points to 0. If I click the delete button here, it points to 0, 1, 2. Got it? Okay, so this is the array and this is the index of the array. I do not want the array name, but I just want the index of the array. So what I will do, I will break this wherever there is a slash and I will collect the data after the second slash. So this is slash and this is slash. So first slash, second slash, after the second slash, whatever is there, that is the index, right? So how can I do that? Once I get the binding context path, I will break it by using split function. So split is a function to split. Split means break. So split this string wherever there is a slash. Split means break, and I am passing slash. Slash indicate boss break this wherever there is a slash, and bring me the data after the second slash of 2. So of 2 indicates, so you bring me the data after the second slash. Okay, and that's all. I got the index. So if I write this particular statement, I will get the index of the array. Getting my point? Now let's keep this. So variable index equals to, yeah, this is the index. Now let's go to the debug point and see if you are getting the corresponding index when I shuffle between the buttons. So let's add some 3 projects. So I added 3 projects and let's go to the debug point and see what is the index I'm getting. So when I click the delete button here, I should get index 0. Index 0, yeah, that is correct. Now continue. So again, let me click on this delete button. So when I click this delete button, I should get index 1. Am I getting index 1? Yes. When I click this delete button, I should get index, let me continue the execution. I should get index 2. Yes, I got the corresponding index. So that means we are able to achieve the corresponding index. So once you have the index in your hand, you need to remove this value from the same index. I need to remove this data from this index so that this itself will be gone from the array, so that we left out with only two uh, two values, two memories in the array. So again, I will point out to this my JSON model.array. So previously I said push, but now I will say splice. Splice means remove. So remove the record at this particular index, okay, and comma 1. 1 means so I will explain what is the syntax of splice. So splice means remove the record from the array, okay. So this is the array. Array dot splice means remove the record from the array. Now if you simply give only the index, then it removes all the records starting from that index. So this is called the index position, and second one is called from this index how many records you want to delete. I want only one record to be deleted at that index. If you give 2 here, the meaning is you start from this index, and from this index you remove 2 records, means first record will be deleted, second record also deleted. If I give 3, the meaning of this one is you start from this index, and starting from this index you need to delete 3 records. So index 0 will be deleted, 2 will be deleted, and 3 also will be deleted. So but I want only one to be deleted, so I will say you start from this index and delete only one record, empty record. Okay, so I will say index comma 1. So obviously you need to refresh your table, your JSON model. So that's all. Now this is delete row, this is add row. Our dynamic table is ready. Now click on plus as many times as you want and delete as many times as you want. So we have successfully achieved this delete and add functionality to this table. Now when you are saving it, so the advantage with this approach is whatever the data that you entered here, since this table is binded to this JSON models array and you are pushing these empty JSON objects dynamically, so here whatever the data that you are entering, this will be filled in these empty positions at runtime. So at runtime this will not be empty, my dear friends. At runtime these will not be empty. I will show you. Okay. And when you are clicking the save button, so what are you doing when you click on the save button? So during the mode equal to create, you are sending only the employee data, but we will send the uh, projects data as well. So how to send the projects data to the backend? To send the project data to the backend, you need to use the navigation property / $metadata. So after creation of association in your employee table, so you have employee ID, name, designation, all that stuff till status. But in addition, you will also have something called navigation property. So this is nothing but child records data property. So whenever you are sending the child entities data, you need to send it against this navigation property. So 2 projects means my project information, and my project information is very well inside this array. So where is the array? This dot get model dot get data dot array of projects. So I will simply pass this array. So when you send this array, the array contains multiple empty JSON records, and those empty JSON records will be filled with the data, because when you enter the data in this table, so the moment you enter the data in this table, those empty JSON records will be filled with the data. Let me show you. So that's all, guys. We are sending the employee data along with the project data to the backend. So let me keep a debug point. So I'm going to keep one debug point here, and let me add some employee data. So how many employees we have? So we have some 3, 4. So we have 4 employees. Let me add 5th employee 100005. So I'm just keeping some dummy guys. Don't worry at all. Skill, email, phone number, salary, date of joining. Anyway, this will not get created. Okay, and let me add something here. Employee ID should be same because we are adding it for the same employee. All right. Now let's click on the save button to see uh, what you are sending to the backend. So I clicked on save. Now you are sending model.create this employee set, and this is the data that you are sending. So let's go and see. Now you can see that this all data you are sending to the backend, but along with that, you are also sending the two records of your project. Now, what is this? This is our empty JSON record initially, and that empty JSON record has been filled. I told you at runtime, these empty these empty values will be filled with the values because you are entering the data in these input fields. So these input fields are binded with these OData fields, right? So since they are binded with these fields, so whatever the value that you are entering in these input fields, so this value will go and sit in this empty double quotations at runtime, and that is what happened. So you are sending the employee data to the backend, and along with that, you are also sending the project data to the backend. So remember, whenever you send a parent single record, a parent record along with the child multiple records, then in the backend it calls a special method called create underscore deep underscore entity. That means now it won't call your employee set underscore create underscore entity. So this method will not be called. So this method will be called only if you are purely giving employee data. But now I am not giving purely employee data, but also I am giving the project's data. So whenever you are sending a parent record along with the child's multiple records, then this special method will be called in the backend. So in tomorrow's class, we are going to redefine this and we are going to write the logic in this. Okay. So now let's continue the execution, and we should get an error saying that failed to read the property team size at offset 205. Team size. Why? Team size should be correct. Team TEAM, team size. Okay, so that might be a silly issue. I will resolve it, but actually you will get an error saying that create underscore deep underscore entity is not implemented in the data provider class. It is not implemented in the data provider class. Where is team size, by the way? Okay, the team size is going in double quotation. That is a problem. Just 1 second. See, team size is the integer, guys. It is not a string, but the team size is going as a within double quotation. So we need to remove it. How to do that? Otherwise, we'll just keep this team size as a string variable in the backend so that this issue will be resolved. Either we need to So here the problem is this team size, when we are entering the value, it is taking as string. This is double quotation. Double quotation means string, but actually it should come without double quotation. So when it comes without double quotation, then only the backend will accept, because it is of type integer, not string. Okay. So let me just remove this error. Actually, I want to show the error like create deep entity is not implemented in the data provider class. That should be the error. Anyway, just to resolve this, let's go to the team size and let me uh, edit this project. So I'm going to keep this as edm.string. And in your table also you need to do, because in the table I have kept it as let me do Control Z here. No, 1 second. Don't save it. I will go to EC11 first. If you change in the table, that is better. Where is my projects here? Change this table, team size. Let me change this built-in type. We'll just put char and then we'll keep size 2. That's fine. Let us save it. Continue. Activate. Continue. Errors occurred. Okay, so we'll see that tomorrow, guys. Not a big thing actually. It's a simple thing only. Okay, so I hope you understand how the dynamic table has been created from the front end. That is what is more important. Okay. All right. If you have any questions in today's class, you can ask me. When I click on the save button, actual error that we should get is this method is not implemented in the backend, because whenever you send a parent record along with the child records, it always calls create underscore deep underscore entity, and this will not be called. Okay. Yeah. Let me try deleting this altogether. Project name, project description, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let me try activating this. Okay, fine. So for time being, I'm removing this field just to show this error to you. I removed this field, and in the SCGW also I will remove this field. Data field, where is entity type? This project entity, projects. This is the team size. Let me just remove it. It's in the display mode. Yeah, I've removed it. Regenerate the runtime objects. We should not get any problem. And meanwhile, we'll remove it from the front end as well. Okay. So team size, I'm removing it from the empty JSON array as well. That's all. And in the fragment also I have removed, and I'm removing this column as well. So everything is in sync now. Everything is fine. Okay, so let me just show you the error 100006. Does not matter what I enter here. Again, the error type issue will come if I give the string here. Okay, so let me add two projects for this employee. Anyway, this will not get created, don't worry. All right, now let's click on save. Now you can see the method create underscore deep underscore entity not implemented in the data provider class. Okay, so this clearly says that whenever you are saving one parent entity record along with the child, multiple child records, so both you are sending it is single shot. So this concept is called create a deep entity. So in the backend DPC extension class, we need to write the logic inside this method tomorrow. Okay, so that's all, guys. If you have any questions, you can ask me. Otherwise, you can leave for today. Okay, so fine then. Have a nice day. Bye bye.